Welcome into another Running with the Timberwolves podcast on the Believe Sports Network. My name is Gabe Anderson, usually joined by Chris Emerson, but today I'm going solo to talk about dark times for the Minnesota Timberwolves. But before we get going, make sure to like, share, and subscribe on YouTube. Give us a 5-star rating on Spotify and or Apple. We're trying to get to 450 subscribers on YouTube. So if you could subscribe, we'd really appreciate it, and tell a friend as well. Help us get there. So I want to start with a quote from Chris Finch after the last game, not the Kings game, the Suns game on Friday nights. He said, quote, "Sloppiness cost us the game. We'll be better next game."
You sure about that? You sure about that? You sure about that?
You sure about that, Chris Finch? Because what did we see last night? We saw another monumental collapse by the Minnesota Timberwolves. And honestly, this one was a lot different, at least in the last 3 minutes of the game. Anthony Edwards goes to the bucket, gets fouled, scores, basically taking on 3 guys, makes the free throw. The Wolves go up by 10 points with 3 minutes left to go. I'm sorry, but against a Sacramento Kings team that isn't shooting well, and I know they just beat Denver. I understand that. But Denver was on a back-to-back, and it was a tough travel for them. You can't always blame back-to-backs, but at the same time, you got to come out and put your foot down on the Sacramento Kings. And just to show the significance of these two collapses, according to ESPN, after Ant scores and makes the free throw with 3:04 left in the game, the Wolves have a 97.7 chance of winning. What do? They completely fumble it away. Ant plays hero ball, and it's really hard to blame this one on Ant, considering he had another 40-point game. He was really the only one who had it going for the Timberwolves, at least down the stretch, or at least late in the game. But, I mean, enough hero ball. I know it's the same arena where last year you had heroics against the Sacramento Kings. I know you've had success against the Sacramento Kings, but it's a great point. Jared Good in our group chat, who used to be on this podcast, love to get him back at some point. He said, a step through from the 3-point line. What are we doing? This late game offense, and we'll talk about the Suns game as well, needs to stop. And we heard all offseason, or at least in media day, that Anthony Edwards, he has a new go-to move in the clutch. We got to move the ball. We're going to be much better in clutch games. Well, so far, it has not shown its face. It's been Anthony Edwards dribbling around and then chucking up a shot with 4 seconds left to go in the shot clock. Now, obviously, some factors. The Wolves went dry towards the end. They couldn't hit a shot. I think Dante DiVincenzo missed one as well. Julius Randle, he got fouled but missed a layup right at the rim. I think he might have got blocked on that one, ended up making free throws. But I'm sorry, if you can't close out the Kings with up 10 with 3 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter against a bad Kings team, how in the world are you going to win a playoff series? Now, I know the argument, right? I know the argument is, look at what the Wolves did last year. They got it all together at the end of the year, went on a 17-4 run, and made the playoffs by 1 game. We'll just do that again. Here's the difference between this year and last year for the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Wolves, for the rest of this season, have the 6th hardest remaining strength of schedule. And so far this year, and you may look at it from afar, Wolves traditionally, back in the day when we're winning like 15, 20 games a year, we're 10-7? Awesome. Wow, what a great start. This team is looking up in a tough Western Conference. Well, how about this? The Wolves have had the second easiest strength of schedule, only in front of OKC. And I got to be honest, I have way more confidence that OKC is going to take care of their tougher opponents than I do the Wolves right now. The Wolves last year, like I mentioned earlier, when they went on that 17-4 win streak or run in the last 21 games of the season, according to an article published on February 28th, 2025, which is pretty much right when that run started. I think they may have lost on that day, and then the run got started on March 2nd. The Wolves had the second easiest schedule in the entire league going forward. And then obviously, like I said, they went 17-4, made the playoffs, and then we all know what happened to there, beat a non-together Lakers team, and that was great. And then, beat the pretty much curryless Warriors, and then got slapped by the Oklahoma City Thunder. What I'm saying is what the Timberwolves preached all offseason was, hey, we're together now. We've had a whole off season together. We have ironed things out that we did not have at the beginning of the season last year. We're getting everything together. We're going to be a one unit and ready to go into this. And Chris Finch, he said earlier in the year, he said connectivity only matters for like the first couple weeks or maybe a month. Well, where are the Wolves a month in? Yes, they're 10-7. Credit to that. But what's their best win? What's their best win so far? Night 1 against the Portland Trailblazers. Portland Trailblazers are, I believe, outside of the playoff picture in the West. Maybe not the picture, but maybe they're like the 10 seed right now. Your signature win so far this season is a road win against the Portland Trailblazers. Now, as I mentioned in our Western Conference preview, I'm up on the Portland Trailblazers. I think they could do some things. I love Denny Avdia. He's having a great season. What a steal for them that they got from the Washington Wizards. Absolute steal. But at the same time, you'd think at this point of the season, you'd have a better win than a game where Ant bailed you out, playing the same hero ball. And the only difference between last night and that game was Ant's hero ball worked. Just wanted to take a minute here to talk about something actually good that's going on around the Timberwolves and Minnesota sports. How about 612 Tees? Cole over at 612 Tees makes these awesome tees and sweaters that you are going to love. Christmas time is right around the corner. Thanksgiving as well. You're getting your gifts, and now is the time to get a shirt or tee or even hat from 612 Tees because they are just fantastic. I have a Dante DiVincenzo shirt. I kid you not, along with my Jeff Probst shirt. It's my favorite shirt in my entire collection. But let's take a look at some of these here. By the way, check out 612tees.com for everything that they got. But I mean, look, you got the tree slut hat, become a tree slut. Love that. You have the 1-800 Reed shirt right here. Absolute classic. New ones that they just got in, or he just created, because he creates all the shirts. So you are supporting a local. The money is not going out internationally. It's going right into this Minnesota economy and right into Cole's pocket. So that's what's awesome about it. You got this Goosebumps, this whole trend going on here with the Julius Randle Goosebumps 30 shirts. You got some sweet Ant-Man shirts, a big ticket crew neck. Man, just awesome shirts all the way around. The classic Nas Reed one here. And I know I've been pretty down on this podcast, but I am sky high on 612 Tees. Like I said, Cole over at 612 Tees is doing amazing stuff, and you love to see it. And it's the best way that you can promote or support, I should say, the podcast and the YouTube channel is to get a shirt at 612tees.com, and we are going to help you out. Use promo code RUN25 or use the link in the description at checkout, and you'll get 25% off your purchase. That's RUN25, or use the link in the description to get 25% off your purchase. Thanks again to Cole over at 612Ts, and let's get back to the show. When you look at who's on the courts at the end of games for the Wolves, and we're talking about the Suns and the Kings game as well, none of these guys are rookies. All of these guys are veteran players on the court. They've all been in the league at least 5 or 6 years. This is a veteran squad on the court that is fumbling away games. And you can debate, and we'll get into it in a second, timeouts and just not having a point guard, which, yes, that is an issue. We got to figure that out. We have not figured that out yet. I feel like we have been talking about the point guard issue for 3 seasons, maybe even since we started this podcast. I got it, which was 5 years ago, and thank you if you've been listening since then. But we have nothing right now. Like down the stretch, our offense is the same old crap as always. Honestly, and I know the NBA is completely different than the college game, right? So you can't compare it. Like, you put the Wolves against, or any NBA, you put the Wizards against the best college basketball team, and no matter how much that the college basketball game presses or moves the ball around or basically makes it hard on the Wizards, picks up full court, the Wizards are going to beat them at least by 30, right? Like we know this. We know this full well. But you watch the college game, and down the stretch, it's not just their top guy dribbling it out and taking a step back three. There's ball movement, and we've seen the Wolves do ball movement before down the stretch. Case in point. That beautiful play, I was there. It was one of my favorite games I've ever seen in person against the Lakers, Game 4. Ball gets inside to Naz Reid, dumps it up to Jaden for a dunk in crunch time. Where's the ball movement? I don't understand. Now, this is more for the Kings game, right? A little less for the Suns. I think the Suns was just an absolute collapse, and Julius Randle has 10 turnovers in the last 2 games, and a lot of them are in crunch time here. So Randall's got to pick it up for sure. But where is the ball movement? Why does the ball stop? I feel like we've been talking about this for years and years and years. It's just Ant's hero ball. And again, Ant was not the reason we lost last night, because when you score 40 points, 40 plus points, and you're shooting at a high efficiency, I think it was like 50% from the field, you can't blame it on that guy. Although I will say one side note here, that basically I don't know what's going on I with the press coverage. I know Chris Hine for the Star Tribune isn't traveling with the team because of the Star Tribune cutbacks, but we got to get some better coverage. Get Charlie Walton. I know he's in college right now, but get him traveling with the team, because I looked up post-game sound, and you'd think after a huge game, right, a big colossal collapse, that they would have sound from everybody saying like, oh, we got to turn this around. No, all they did was talk to Finch for 2 minutes. And again, I don't know what kind of restrictions. Maybe they took some of it out. I looked everywhere. I couldn't find any other sound other than Chris Finch and Rudy Gobert. And yes, I want to hear from Finch. But to be honest, I know Rudy Gobert had a bad turnover down the stretch. And again, it's veteran guys doing stupid stuff. Jaden McDaniels with that foul, and maybe that was more Jalen Clark's fault. You can debate that, but just stupid stuff. Oh, by the way, side note before I get into it, Jaden just dunked the ball. And I've talked about this on the show before. I feel like Jaden McDaniels goes for the heroics when he tries to dunk. He tries to do a poster, and I feel he's 30% on them. Just dunk it. I don't care. Go up with 2 hands. I don't care. We need the points. And then again, I talked about it last year, and more points given away. There was a couple fast breaks where we tried to go for the alley-oop dunk to Ants. Dante DiVincenzo threw it up to him, and it was off. and a 3-on-1 turns to a fast break the other way. Just put the ball in the basket, guys. I know I understand it's entertainment. Believe me, I'm the first person to say that basketball is entertainment. Now, we're not talking globetrotters here. There's a little difference between the WWE and college wrestling, right? So the NBA is a little more sexier college wrestling, where the WWE is more like the globetrotters, right? To use a wrestling analogy, but just man, I feel like we throw away points all the time, and I know other teams do it. We're not the only team this happens to. I'm sure it happens to all teams. We've seen bad breaks. Keegan Murray missed a wide open layup in this game. That was a tough one for him. But man, it's just put the ball in the back. I don't care if you literally have to work the ball around and flat-footed throw it off the glass for two. Like we don't need to be flashy. Let's just win some games. So let's get into it. Some of the comments from after the game. Like I said, Rudy Gobert and Chris Finch were talked to. Of course, we talked about his quote after the Suns game, which awesome. Great job. Rudy said that we got stagnant and the ball stopped moving. Yep. Straight up, 100% right. Spot on, Rudy. The other quote that stood out for me was, let's see if we care. We need to put our teammates before ourselves. Now, it's hard to know in post-game pressers if the guys are just blowing smoke, and it's hard to be super articulate when you're still processing your thoughts, like probably 20, 30 minutes after the game. I'm sure they'll probably get some audio from practice or something today where they've gathered their thoughts. But I don't know. Rudy is, and we talk about this about Rudy. Rudy is always a team player. Now, you can throw his name out there saying, oh man, it's so hard to watch offensively, and he misses wide open layups and whatnot. But you can't say that Rudy Gobert isn't doing everything he can to try and get the team going and affect winning. We saw that in Utah, at least in the regular season. I mean, they won 50 games, a ton, like pretty much every year of Rudy's quote unquote prime, him coming up, and then he's been great. Other than that 1 year where we were still figuring things out, the first year Rudy, I mean, the results speak for themselves. I'm not saying Rudy Gobert is the only reason we made 2 straight Western Conference Finals, but I think it is a big factor, at least for regular season winning. But when Rudy Gobert is saying, basically calling out the team, let's see if we care. We need to put our teammates before ourselves. Is he talking to Ant? Is he talking to Julius? Who is he talking to? I think probably the entire team, because it's just selfish plays. The ball stops moving. The buck stops here. Ant takes 16 seconds to get it up the court. Not up the court, excuse me, to even attack, and then throws Julius Randle, as Jim Pete likes to call it, a grenade that he just has to throw up. Like, where is this team? Where's the connectivity of this team? I can't find it. We haven't seen it in the last 2 games. Again, this is a veteran team. If this was the 2015 Wolves or whatever year Cat got drafted, or basically the team on the court is a young Karl Anthony Towns and a young Andrew Wiggins and a young Zach LaVine. Okay, some dumb plays down the stretch, some boneheaded mistakes, turnovers. That can happen, right? It's a young team. They're learning. It's not going to hurt our chances. In fact, it probably improves on that point and improves our chances to get a lottery pick, to be completely honest, back then. But this is not that team. This is an old team. This is a team experienced team. Everyone's been out. Everyone on the court has been out there in tons of these situations and could not get it done. Almost, is it time for a team meeting, a players only meeting? Now, I'm recording this 10:30 on a Tuesday morning, so I don't know if they have. I don't know what's the conversation inside of the locker room because, again, like I was alluding to earlier, Chris Hine isn't traveling with the Star Tribune. John Krasinski isn't traveling right now. So we're not really getting the inside scoop. And like I said, love Rudy Gobert, but I would love to hear from Ant and Julius after games like these. What went wrong? We need to know. The public deserves to know. If we are going to come to your games, spend $25. Do you understand in today's economy, $25 for parking? I understand that it's more expensive other places. I was at a Dallas game. Thank God my friend actually ended up paying for the parking because to be honest, this podcast doesn't pay a lot and my other job isn't rolling in the dough, but $50 for parking in Dallas. But if you're going to pay $100 for a ticket, a lower level ticket, let's call it a lower level ticket to a high quality game, you're going to pay $100+ for that, plus all the fees, plus you're going to pay for popcorn and you're going to pay for a hot dog and a soda. And then, like I said, $25 for parking. We should have the right to hear you talk for 3 minutes about what went wrong. I'm sorry. And maybe this sounds like the fan who's, oh man, these athletes are overpaid. I'm not saying that. I think what these athletes bring, particularly in Anthony Edwards, to the Minneapolis economy and to just the overall brand of Minnesota sports, I think is immeasurable, particularly with how bad the Vikings are right now, and the Twins have been awful, and the Lynx, yes, a little bit wild. I mean, Kaprizov is a big name, but let's be honest, the NHL doesn't bring in as much as the NBA, and that's okay. But to not be able to hear from them about what went wrong and how they can fix these things, to not have the resources of a professional team, a professional newspaper, professional sources, and all they get to interview is Chris Finch and Rudy Gobert, which great. I love hearing from Finch, love hearing from Gobert, but I want to hear more. And I understand that the economy's tight. I understand everything, but we deserve better than that. I really think so. And like I said, there are people hungry who would love to go get the scoop. There's young, like Charlie Walton. There's young reporters out there, striving reporters and journalists that want to go get the scoop, and they can't right now because of money or some other restrictions. It's painful. It's painful. Oh, one other note I wanted to make. Hey, Wolves, your reward for screwing the pooch Friday and Monday. Guess what? You get to play a team that may, I don't think they will, but are at least on pace to break Golden State's wins in a season record. That's who you get to play on the road. Congratulations. You played yourself, Wolves. What's you going to do now? So here's what I want to say. If the Wolves, get blown out by, like, let's say it's let's say it's one of those games from the playoffs where the Wolves were around in the first quarter and then just get blown out. Like game 7, right? Like where there's no reason to even watch the fourth quarter as your team slowly deteriorates into the fade. If that happens, or they blow another lead down the stretch. Now, I'm not saying like up 2 with 5 minutes left, whatever. They're the OKC Thunder, they're the defending champs. But if it's bad again, if they do it again, if let's say they blow a 10-point lead, like again with 3 minutes left, if it's just Ant's hero ball and he's not hitting shots and the ball isn't moving at all, I mean, I would love to get to the point where we're up 10 with 3 minutes left to go against the OKC Thunder with how good they're looking. And by the way, OKC, they're doing this without their number 2 option in Jalen Williams. And I heard he got bad news. But yes, I will say their schedule has been easy. I said the Wolves had the second easiest schedule so far this season. The team with the easy schedule is the OKC Thunder, but honestly, even if the OKC Thunder had a harder schedule so far, I still feel like they have 2 or 3 losses at most. This team is good. So if the Wolves get destroyed, let's say by 40 or 30 points, it's not even close, and they put up zero effort and just collapse, or if they give up a huge lead down the stretch and they just collapse again to the OKC Thunder, they play the Boston Celtics on, I believe, on ABC on Saturday. When they come in the building, when they're announced, please welcome your Minnesota Timberwolves. Boo them, please. Please send them a message. And I know that in the past we've had D'Angelo Russell saying, "Oh, we don't like it when people boo us. We're really trying to put on a good product, and it's not our fault." And blah blah blah. No. We are past that. We're past that. We're past that. If they put up another stinker and blow it again, let them know that this is not acceptable. Again, it goes back to the where I was talking about how much money you're paying for a ticket. Here's the thing. If you have 3 straight days at work where you blow it, are you not reprimanded? Do you not get a demerit or you get talked to by the boss? We're the boss. I know the real boss right now is, Mark Lowry and A-Rod and whatever. That's not what I'm talking about. We are the judge and executioner here. They are our team. And if they go out there and do it 3 times in a row, if they blow another lead or get blown out and just look like they're dead, let them know. Maybe put some spunk in them. Like, it's unacceptable. It really is for a veteran team. We haven't really talked about the Suns one because honestly, I don't really want to, because it's just basically here is the summary of the Suns collapse. Turnovers. That's the summary of the Suns collapse. Just we turn over the ball, and who's the point guard? By the way, shout out to Jared Good, who's the fucking point guard. Shout out to you. Where do we go from here? To quote Blink-182. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I know that maybe a new point guard could help. And I know I haven't really talked about stats or anything like I usually do. And had a good game. Julius has had a tough couple games. Dante DiVincenzo has hit some shots. But like I said, if they do this again, if they just come out flat and they look horrible against OKC like they've given up, how about this? Give up on them. And I'm not saying like stop watching, stop caring, but tell them your dismay. Like, don't put up with this. We have reached a new standard as Wolves fans where, we were horrible for a long time. Jimmy Butler got us over the hump of the playoffs. And you could say all you want about Jimmy Butler, but he did that. He absolutely did that. I know it ended poorly, but for that year, he got us over the hump and was huge down the stretch. You can't deny that. I mean, the Wolves were a 3 seed with him before he got hurt towards down the stretch. Now, were they going to beat Houston? Probably not. They weren't going to stop James Harden, but if nothing else, he got us there. And I know, we're not going to get into it right now. And then, we had some rough years, but we're past the point of moral victories here. We're at the point where if you can't beat the OKC Thunder in a 7-game series, then what are we doing? What are we doing here? I think changes need to be made. We'll talk about that going forward on this podcast about like what point guard we can bring in. I'd love Drew Holiday. I'll tell you that. Someone to handle the ball down the stretch. I don't know what it would take to get him. We'll talk about that in future videos, but this is really unacceptable. And I was really disappointed that we did not hear from Ant or Julius or Conley or even Jaden after this game, because this is a bad 10-7 team. The Wolves have beaten nobody. You could credit them, except last night. They've taken control against teams that are bad. Good. Great. That's not going to be enough to compete in the West. I'm sorry. You have to beat some of these teams. And like I said, the 6th hardest schedule going forward. And it starts tomorrow night against the OKC Thunder. One quick note, I do want to say the Wolves shouldn't have even been in that situation. And I know they talked about that at the beginning of the game when I think the Sacramento had 2 points in the first about 6 minutes. You need to start hitting shots. You need to bury them right away, because that's what we did the last couple times against against the Sacramento Kings. We just buried them right away and then took their will. You can't let a team like that, particularly like Jim Pete said, when they had a taste of winning against the Denver Nuggets, you can't let them stick around. And as we know, Malik Monk is a Wolves killer. It's funny, they were talking to Rudy like, oh man, how much did Keegan Murray change this game? Keegan Murray, I know he had a great game, or how different was it to play against Keegan Murray? We're not talking about Kevin Durant. We're not talking about Kobe Bryant. We're not talking about someone like LeBron James. Like, oh, LeBron's back. Man, this changes the whole game. We're talking about Keegan Murray, who's a good player, but it shouldn't change the entire game because Keegan Murray is back in the starting lineup against this team. Unbelievable. And Rudy, he kind of went, oh, yeah, no, he had a great game. He was great. Rudy did what he was supposed to do, right? Like, he's not going to go. He's not going to go what I said and said, oh, Keegan Murray, like, who cares? We should beat him anyway. But, Rudy did what he's supposed to do. Oh, yeah, Keegan played great. Rudy's a pro's pro, all of the above. Like, he's not going to call out Keegan Murray. And Keegan Murray's a good shooter, good player. But like I said, Keegan Murray should not be, when you're a veteran team, up 10. We shouldn't be talking about, oh, man, Keegan Murray completely changed that game. Keegan Murray was the reason that we lost that game. Oh, man, if only Keegan Murray wasn't there. It's ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. I hope the Wolves can stick around with OKC, but from what I've seen, who knows? Who knows? And that is why I always say in the group chat, I always say finish. When we're up 2, or if when we're up 5 or 6 with 2 minutes left to go, and there's people on Twitter, or X, I guess, sorry, X. You're welcome, Elon. When there's people on X saying, oh, man, look at how great Anthony Edwards playing, 40 points tonight. Oh, man, we're playing so great. This is awesome. You can never count your chickens before they hatch. And I'm not calling out people on Twitter. Believe me, I'm not. But you can't get too excited until the game is over. You can't count your chickens before they hatch. You really can't with this team. And I was guilty of it on the Suns game. I was like, okay. I texted my friend like, hey, it looks like we're going to pull this one out, but man, it's tough down the stretch. Like, we barely got out of there with this one. Great comeback. And then, of course, what happened. That was with about 50 seconds left in the game. But, man, yeah, I guess if the lesson is here, expect more from this team. Don't put it all on yourself as a fan. Don't say, oh, it's just the Minnesota sports experience. That's what it is. We're cursed. Oh, man, this is just what we do. Other than the Twins got lucky in the late 80s and 90s. The Lynx are good. But other than that, oh, shucks, we lost again. Oh, boy, it's just the Minnesota fan experience. Let's strive to make it better here. Let's have some accountability for these players and these coaches. Now, I wanted to get to this. Chris Finch calls some freaking timeouts. Like, it's past the point. I know you want your team to fight through it and do it themselves. It's clear that they effing can't, okay? They can't do it. It's very clear. You need to know your team. I talk about this all the time when I watch the Wolves play basketball. Know your limitations. This team clearly, when they're on the ropes, need to be settled down and run a set and get something going. Use your freaking timeouts. And I talk about it when we try to force passes to Rudy all the time. Know your limitations. You guys have been playing together. Like, I think it was Nas tried to wrap one into Rudy in tight quarters, and it went off of Rudy's hands, so it makes Rudy look dumb, even though it's not Rudy's fault at all, because you've been playing, I'm sorry, with Rudy Gobert for 3 years. Going on 4, you're in your 4th year with Rudy Gobert. You need to know his limitations. He can't catch that ball. He's 7'1". He has bad hands. He's the most unique Hall of Famer ever, maybe in NBA history. He's great defensively, but you need to know each other's limitations. I don't know, man. This was almost pretty cathartic for me. I had to get this out. I have no confidence we're going to beat OKC. In fact, I think I'm going to a volleyball game, so I'll be watching it late. And honestly, if we're down, 30 at halftime, I may not even tune in. I mean, I may watch the highlights later just because of the podcast. But I'm serious. I'm 100% serious to wrap up the show. If the Wolves get spanked by OKC, or if they blow another late lead, that's just like, how? How is this happening? Strike 3, boo them against Boston, and do it on national TV as well. Do it. Anyway, this is the Running with the Timberwolves podcast on the Believe Sports Network. We're going to be covering the Wolves all throughout the season. Hopefully this doesn't go pear-shaped here. I'm really hoping it doesn't. Like I said, I believe in Anthony Edwards. I believe in Julius Randle. I think he's just had 2 bad games. Hopefully it's just bad play down the stretch that we can correct in practice. And the ultimate litmus test is coming up. You want to know how good you are? You want to prove that you are a team that can go back to another Western Conference Finals or even further in a stacked Western Conference? Go to OKC and beat them. That's my challenge. Come out pissed off. Come out absolutely pissed off. Move the ball. Play OKC basketball better than OKC does. I want Jaden flying all over the place. I want Ant attacking the rim whenever he can. I want the guards crashing the rebounds. That's what I want. And I don't want that just for the first 3 quarters or the first 40 minutes of the game. I want that the entire time. Now, obviously, it's not going to be the same as the college game, like I mentioned earlier. I want 48 minutes of hell. I want you to come out absolutely pissed. So this is a challenge to you, Wolves. Come out pissed off. Come out like you just embarrassed yourself twice, because you did. You absolutely embarrassed yourself twice. Come out pissed off and show everyone on ESPN what you're about. And then keep that momentum. Keep that momentum going into Boston and a team without Victor Wembanyama in the Spurs. I hope this is the turning point for the Wolves. I feel like it's either the turning point or it's going to go all to you-know-where. Anyway, this is the Running with the Timberwolves podcast on the Believe Sports Network. Stay with us because you're going to get this impassioned podcasting all throughout the year. And check out our sponsor, 612 Tees. Use promo code RUN25 at checkout to get 25% off your first purchase. Or you could just use the link in the description. Check them out, 612 Tees. Help us to get to 450 subscribers. Leave a subscribe if you haven't already. It really helps the show grow. I know this is an impassioned podcast. A lot of times the podcasts are a lot more analytically driven and a lot more stats driven. I had a little bit of that in the show, but today, honestly, I'm just pissed off, and I hope that Wolves fans are pissed off as well. Anyway, this is the Running with the Timberwolves podcast. Like, share, and subscribe. Give us a 5-star rating. And as always, go Wolves and shape up.